Okay, let's dive into this. If you've ever built a PC, you've definitely stared at that wall of shiny, colorful badges on power supplies, right? White, bronze, gold, platinum, titanium. It's a completely colorful, but honestly kind of confusing world of PSU labels. So today, we're decoding exactly what these certifications actually mean, what they absolutely do not mean, and how to pick the right one for your rig without totally burning your budget.
Because look, it's a question literally every first-time builder asks. Do expensive PSU ratings equal better PC performance? I mean, when we see a premium badge like Platinum or Titanium and, a massive price tag to match, we naturally assume it unlocks superior build quality, faster rendering, or higher frame rates. But does that expensive sticker actually equal a faster machine? Well, prepare to have some assumptions challenged.
So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll tackle the great efficiency misconception. Second, baseline power with white and bronze. Third, the gold sweet spot. Fourth, enthusiast and enterprise tiers. And finally, sizing and our final verdict.
All right, starting with number 1, the great efficiency misconception. Before we climb the tier ladder, we really need to address the elephant in the room.
So the foundation of this entire system is the 80+ standard. The white certification represents the absolute baseline of modern power supply efficiency. At typical loads, it means at least 80% of the electricity pulled straight from your wall outlet is successfully converted into usable power for your system. The remaining 20%? Well, that's lost purely as heat. And that is the absolutely crucial takeaway here. Lost energy doesn't mean lost performance. It translates directly into heat. Essentially, you're buying a power supply that doubles as a tiny, noisy space heater for your room.
And this brilliantly illustrates where the big disconnect happens. We just assume a higher rating equals a higher quality product and, more frames per second. But the reality? The 80+ certification only measures power efficiency and heat output. That's it. It doesn't test build quality, it doesn't test safety protections or component lifespan. A basic white-rated unit from a reputable brand can actually be way safer than a poorly engineered gold unit.
Moving right along to Section 2, baseline power, white and bronze.
Let's look at the practical applications for these foundational tiers. A white-rated unit, hitting that baseline 80% efficiency, is perfectly adequate for, say, office PCs or home theater setups running basic integrated graphics. But step up to bronze, and you hit roughly 85% efficiency. Bronze is the true entry point for budget gaming. If you're building a solid rig with a Core Ultra 5 or a Ryzen 5 9600X, paired with a mid-range card like an RTX 5070, a reputable bronze unit is exactly what you need. It's affordable, and it's fully capable.
I really want to drive this point home because it's a massive misconception. A bronze power supply and a top-tier titanium power supply will deliver the exact same gaming performance. Identical FPS, period. As long as both are capable of supplying stable power to your components, your game literally does not care what color the sticker is. The only difference you're going to experience is in heat output, the noise of the power supply fan, and maybe a tiny variation in your electricity bill.
Okay, let's move to Section 3, the sweet spot, gold, and see how this builds as we enter enthusiast territory.
Now you might be wondering, wait, what happened to silver? Well, silver has basically become a forgotten middle ground. The efficiency bump over bronze is super tiny, but the manufacturing cost is practically the same as gold, so most companies just skip it entirely. Gold, though, that is the modern standard. Hitting roughly 90% efficiency, it wastes significantly less power as heat, and because of this, a lot of gold units can run semi-passively. That means the fan completely turns off while you're just browsing the web or watching videos. Enjoying that 0 RPM mode is a huge acoustic benefit. It perfectly balances price, acoustics, and efficiency, making it the ideal match for modern high-performance hardware like a Ryzen 7 9800X3D or an RTX 5080.
But here's the catch. Gold is also where diminishing returns hit hard. For the average consumer, this is where the cliff just drops off. If you're gaming for just a few hours a day, the money you save on your electricity bill by upgrading past gold is surprisingly tiny. You are likely never going to recover that massive premium price tag through power savings alone. It's just not going to happen.
Which brings us to Section 4, Enthusiast and Enterprise tiers.
So let's talk about Platinum and Titanium. Platinum pushes efficiency to about 92%, which makes it absolutely perfect for heavy workstations. Think AI development or heavy video editing machines that sit under massive loads for hours on end. Less heat means a quieter studio for professionals. Then, Titanium pushes that to 94%, but it introduces a very unique hurdle. It actually mandates extremely high efficiency even at a very low 10% idle load. Because most power supplies are terribly inefficient when a PC is just sitting on the desktop, passing this test requires incredibly advanced, expensive circuitry. That's exactly why you usually only see titanium in flagship rigs running RTX 5090 class hardware.
Now, what's really interesting about this enterprise scale is there's a tier you might have never even heard of, Ruby. Pushing efficiency beyond 96%, you will literally never find this in a gaming rig. It's designed entirely for enterprise servers and data centers. Modern AI clusters consume mind-boggling amounts of electricity round the clock. At that massive scale, a 1% efficiency improvement, which, let's be real, wouldn't matter at all in your living room, can save a corporation millions of dollars when applied across thousands of servers. That is the sole reason the Ruby tier even exists.
Finally, Section 5, Sizing and Final Verdict. Let's bring this all back down to earth for some practical buying advice.
See this 40 to 60% number? This is kind of an insider secret when it comes to power supplies. A power supply doesn't just operate at a flat efficiency rate across the board. It operates on a curve, and these units are typically most efficient when they're sitting right around 40 to 60% of their maximum load capacity.
Knowing about that efficiency sweet spot completely changes how you should buy your unit. Step 1 is to calculate your system's maximum power draw. Let's say your CPU, GPU, and all the rest will pull about 500 watts under full load. Step 2 actually isn't to buy a 500-watt power supply. Experienced builders will buy a quality 750 or 850 watt unit instead. Doing this keeps the power supply comfortably in its most efficient, coolest, and quietest operating range. Plus, it gives you plenty of headroom for future upgrades and those crazy temporary power spikes that modern graphics cards are famous for. Basically, you're buying a larger capacity just to stay in that efficiency sweet spot.
So, the crucial point is this. The biggest mistake you can make is assuming that the 80+ rating measures overall quality. It just doesn't. A great bronze unit will absolutely outperform a poorly designed gold unit in reliability and safety every single time. If you're on a budget, bronze remains the absolute best choice. If you're building a mainstream or enthusiast rig, gold is the sweet spot you should aim for. Ultimately, you just want to buy for reliability, getting the unit that delivers clean, stable power for your hardware without wasting your money on a fancy sticker you don't actually need.
So, take a quick moment to think about your own setup. Now that you know the truth behind the tiers and the reality of efficiency versus performance, what power supply are you using right now? And do you actually know its 80+ rating? More importantly, is it actually the right fit for your hardware? Go check your rig, let us know what you find, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.